Hello crafty friends, Louise Heinzel here. Welcome back to my channel, welcome back to a new video. So this is going to be the next part of my little Barbie doll cover tutorial. So in this video I would like to color this first of my three journal covers that I made out of an old book and this Barbie doll here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please check the info box, stop the video here and watch the first both videos where I show you exactly in detail how I made this base that we want to color today. So if you would like to try it by your own, then you will find two videos how I came to this step. So yeah, that this is really sturdy and you can paint it. And so this video is all about this thing here, and there will be two more videos about the other two covers. As I said in the last video, I would like to show you with different kinds of paints how it can be possible to color this. So in the meantime, so since the last video, there were of course a few days where this had to dry. And as I said in the last video, I had to add some more layers of my gesso here so that this is really sturdy. And as I promised, it has a sound like this. And when you look closer, it's such hard that you can't press it down. So it's a little bit more flexible until now as my first piece. From this first piece, there was this wish from you that I showed this tutorial, and the first piece had a thicker layer of fabric. So this coat that the first Barbie doll had was a little bit thicker, so that these gesso layers were a little bit sturdier, but this is okay, I think. And when we add the next layers of paint, then it will be very sturdy in the end, so that these little things that I can move around a little bit, they will be covered up and they will be sturdy in the end. So this thing here, I want to turn into something like a vampire gothic themed doll, or something like that. And for this piece I decided to use acrylic paints. So excuse me, mainly acrylic paints. And as I said, sometimes I start with something with a little plan in my head, so in this case that I want to use acrylic paints, and then during the process I realized that I need something else. So please excuse if I now tell you that I will use acrylic paints, and perhaps later on we will use some different mediums as well. So planned is to use for the dress this black acrylic paint. This is a normal acrylic paint. Black, as I said. And then I have also this gray one here. It's called a vintage paint, so don't know if you can see that. This is something really cool. You can normally also paint your furniture with this, so on wood. And when it's dry, it's a little bit rough. It's not such glossy as this normal acrylic paint would turn out. So I will try to give this a mix of this. So this is a really dark gray, and I think with this black it's a nice thing for the base. I used exactly both kinds of colors for this first piece too. So this first vampire that you saw on my journal, that was made with this paints too. And then I have some acrylic paints from Winsor & Newton. So this one here is a crimson red. Yeah, can I read that? Yes, crimson. And this is a really dark red, and I like to mix different reds to get this a little bit more dimensional and a little bit more interesting. So I've chosen a second acrylic paint. So this is a spray, This comes from this Action store. Yeah, I think I told you something about that before. I think for all the people from America or yeah, overseas, you will not get the same brand in your area, I think, because this is specially made for this Action store. So it's something like a dollar store that you know perhaps, and they sell these little bottles here where you can spray out. If I would spray directly on my cover, I don't know until now. I think I will spray to my surface here next to the cover and then add it in some other way, because yeah, the sprays are not such good to control, and when you spray directly, then perhaps yeah, something happens what you don't want. And these sprays have the problem that there is coming out very much. So for my personal yeah, feeling, it's very much what comes out here. So perhaps we can try something with this, but I wanted to have two different reds, and I only have this one here from this brand. So I had to, yeah, be a little bit flexible, and I've chosen the second one from this brand. What I also have here on my desk is some of those Maya Gold paints. So they are mixed with, that's a little bit tricky to get this here off. Let me show you on another one. They have something like a little bit of glitter inside. So when you look at this, you can see there are some, yeah, something like pigments that are really glossy. And I have, yeah, something like a collection of this kinds of colors. I think there are many other brands who offer those things here and who offer this glittery things. So I'm not a friend of glitter, so I have to say that, but these are really great, especially because they dry really sturdy. So it gets a really, yeah, hard and sturdy surface when you paint your stuff with this. And I will use this here to get some accents to my piece later, so in the very end. And I have different colors. So I have this red here, so this is something like a copper, but it turns out something like a red, like you can see here on the top of this little container. So I think the name of this is yeah, something like a little bit weird. So it turns out so something like this here. And what you can see here on the bottom is only the glitter, so I have to shake it before I use it, and then it will be a little bit lighter than you can see it here. But I have to decide if I want to shake it, because I think this color can be really cool for this. And this one here, it's called Mocha. I think that can be a nice yeah, addition too. And I have different things of that. So you can get them in this silver or this green. I think this is avocado. Yes, this is called avocado. And yeah, it belongs to what you want to paint to your cover. So what kind of a doll or something like that you would like to make in the end. But there are many different colors from this brand, and many different things that you can use. So this three here, for example, would go together very, very nice. And yeah, I have to decide later what I will do. Okay, so let's start with the first thing that I will do. And when you do that, it's always a good idea to have a little spray bottle with water on your desk, because, yeah, I will show you. And what I also have is this paper towel here. Let me just, oopsala, sorry. Let me just take some off here. And later on, when we come to the face, I have this one here. So this is the Stabilo All Pen. Stabilo, how is this called in English? I don't know. Yeah, perhaps this information can help you to find this on Amazon or somewhere else. So this is a black pen, something like a watercolor pen. and you can write or paint on it on different materials. So you even can write on it, write with it on glass or something like that. Let me show you. Sorry, so when it's sharp it works. So as you can see, you can even paint on or write on glass with it, and it's a really cool thing because yeah, it's very you can use it for very much different things. And the good thing is this pen is water soluble, and when it's very sharp, so I sharpened it in the meantime, then it's very good for all the stuff that you want to do with shading in the face, the eyes, the eyebrows, and the mouth and such things. So you can sharpen it very, very thin here. And then this is a really cool thing, because when you paint something on your piece and you don't like it, you can remove it with water very easily. So I watched many tutorials about this Barbie doll painting. There are many people who repaint Barbie dolls. They remove the original color, especially in the face and something like that, with some, yeah, I don't know, with alcohol or something like that. And then they repaint them with different kinds of colors. So they also use some pens like this, so water soluble, yeah, this kind of watercolor pens, or also oil pastels. But the problem is, when you are not an expert and you don't like what you painted on your face, so on the face, not on your face, on the face of your doll, then you can't remove it such easy than when you do it with this one here. And yeah, so let's try that, and let's save this here for later. And for the shading and all this other stuff, I have this little blender tools here. You can also use a very thin and dry paintbrush, or you can use, when you don't have that, you can also use those little Q-tips here. So they are very good for this too, because they have this little fluffy tip here, and with that you can do the shading in the face as well. But before we come to the face, we will try to get the dress in another color. And for that, with my brush, for that I will first paint this whole thing with a black color, because yeah, as I said, we want to have something like gothic vampire or something like that stuff. And for that I give a good portion of paint here to my little palette. So it's only a, yeah, a cardstock or something like that. And then I go over it here, and yeah, it's a little bit different to explain how I do this, because as you can see, you have this little spaces of the dress, and of course we want to have it in a 3D look in the end. So the interesting thing of this whole stuff, of course, is this 3D effect. And for that you have to yeah, think about what areas you would like to come out. And that's not so easy, because this thing of, yeah, imagination of the end product while you are doing it is not such easy. So I like to, yeah, don't overthink it. And I also do this step not very carefully. So I make sure that I don't get something on the arms in this really dark black, but the other things I paint like they are here, like I'm doing here, and I don't think too much about it, because yeah, I think the result in the end will be better when you don't think about it too much. And the 3D dimension of this whole thing comes with the layering of the color, of course, and it comes with using this structure of this of this dress, and I think you don't have to think about the right shading. So do you know what I mean? When I paint this, the things that are inside, so this little slots here that are more inside of this whole thing, they will stay white in the end, or nearly white. In the reality, that would be the other way around. So the things that are inside would look darker if you, for example, would take a photo or something like that, than the upper parts. But that's the interesting thing of this, because you can get a dimension on this whole thing without using the reality as a thing that you have in mind. Don't know how to explain this in English, but I think you know what I mean. And because of that, I put my paint here where I want it and where I think, okay, that looks cool. And then I just have to go here. Hopefully you can't see my head. Sorry, I can't see that when I'm filming what I'm doing here. Okay, something perhaps here. And then after this, just a second. Okay, after this, it looks really strange, I know. Then let's take the water bottle, this little spray bottle, and then I will spray when this is wet, so the color is wet, then I spray my water here to get it a little bit more liquid, this whole stuff. And don't care about too much water, because you have your gesso under it, and you can spray with water without destroying your piece. And then you can turn this around a little bit, and as you can see, on some in some areas it gets this something like a shabby chic look. When the paint goes away from your piece, or it's a little bit thinner on some areas, then you will get this really cool shabby chic effect. So that's the way I did it with my first piece. I added the color, and then I sprayed water, and then I waited until the color runs off here. So let me just hold this here. I don't know if you can see anything, but I have to make sure that the water comes out here on the bottom of the piece, because when the water is too long on your cover, then that can be a little problem, because of course you have a book cover under it. You have this this cardstock of the original book, and it may be that sometimes some of this water sprays to your book here, and when you don't let it go off, then it can happen that the cover gets wavy or something like that, and we don't want that. So give me just a second to do this step here. And as you can see, I have it like this, and I spray the water where I think this shabby chic look can come out a little bit more. And you can also, in this case, turn it to the other way around, so that you get some of this black water here to the cover, to the background of your doll. That's very nice too, because then in the end you have many layers of color, and you have the background done without doing anything. So that's a cool thing. And as I said, with this step, you do two things at the same time. The first thing that you do is you get the color into these little spaces here where you can't go with your paintbrush, and you also get this shabby chic look. You have the feeling of something like a real fabric, like a dress with shading where some light comes to, or something like that. And if you think, okay, that's not enough for me, I want to work that out a little bit more, you can also take your paper towel and you can go over the piece and take off some color where you think, okay, here's a little bit too much, or you want to bring the structure of your dress out of the, you want to bring the structure out. For example, like here, when I go over it with my paper towel, you can see that this lace from this dress comes out, and I think that looks really cool. And also, if you think, okay, that's a little bit too dark for me, I don't want it such dark, then you can take your paper towel and go over it and yeah, make it like this a little bit. And when you do this, that's a really cool thing, because with this paper towel, you can only touch the things that are more out of the cover, and all the stuff that the paint that ran into the little slots, it will stay there because you can't reach it with your towel, with your paper towel, and that makes something of this dimensional look in the end, hopefully. So until now you think perhaps, okay, what's that? That looks weird, but yeah, I think that will be good in the end. And in this step, I make sure, as I also made in the other steps, that I have my color everywhere where I want it, because this is my first layer. And when I look here into this dress, I have the feeling, okay, it has to be dark from the inside too. So I take my paintbrush and I go into this here with my paint, so that yeah, when you use another color, I tried to explain that in the last video, when you take another color and then you realize, okay, here is missing some of this first kind of black, then you will be not able to add this without showing it like a thing that you missed before. And yeah, because of that, I make it like this and just wait until this runs down here. And as you can see, this black color goes around the arm here, and I don't care about these things here on the hand or something like that, because yeah, later on that will look really cool. And as you can see now, this is a really big difference in the inside of the arm. So this is black, and also on the arm itself it's a little bit black, and yeah, this color runs down, and I think that's a really cool effect. So when you turn the book around later, when you have your journal done in this cover, then yeah, it look like one and not like something that you have missed before. Hopefully I can explain that with the right words, that you can, hoopsala, that you can understand me. So let's spray something here. And I don't care about if there's not the same amount of color in this arm, in this arm of the dress like on the other side, because yeah, I think these different effects make this very interesting, and I don't want to have it all the same. And I also turn the cover around so that, as you can see again, this black color comes here to my background, and as you can see, hopefully it makes a really cool effect, even if we only painted the dress until now. And I will take this color to get this, yeah, in the background. And also, for example, here, when the color runs away from the dress, you will get a first imagination of the shading around it, because we want it to look to let it look 3D. And for that we need something like a shading, but we can't, of course, do it like we would paint a woman or a doll on a piece of paper or something like that. So we have to yeah, check out this shading stuff in a little bit other way. So yeah, for example, with this trick with the background, because we can't do it in exactly the way we would do it on a paper. Okay, so now this is nearly dry. I Don't let it dry until it is completely dry. I will tell you in a second why, but let me first do something here to the back side of the cover, because I have a little bit the feeling that we need some first layer here on the rest of the cover in the same style like we have it there, to get this to be something like one piece and not showing this white back thing here out too much. And I have the feeling when I do that later that I can't handle it like I can handle it now, because yeah, when I do that now I have the control over it, and I know I have the same color, the same black, the same kind of color, and yeah, such stuff. And perhaps when you do that later, you can't imagine or remember which kind of color you had here, or which amount of water, or such things. And because of that, I like to do it in the beginning, as I said. Yeah, the first layer with this black paint, and then the next layers with other kinds of paint. So for me, that's easier to do it like this. Now I have a little problem. I have no water anymore. So I like this little spray bottles because they are, yeah, such tiny, and you can take them wherever you want, and they don't need much space, but you have to refill them very often, especially with such projects like this. But yeah, I think we can live with that. And yeah, let me just go around here a little bit with this. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. So for this, I will use my heat gun to dry this, because I have this book cover originally that was white, and I have only a thin layer of gesso here onto it, so that I want to make sure that nothing happens here with the cardstock of my cover. I go over it with my heat gun, and then I will be back. Okay, as you could see, I also touched the acrylic paint here with my paper towel to get this same shabby chic look as there with this frame. And now I don't know if I shall do it here or not. That are such problems. I can't decide when my camera is on. I don't know why, but I have this problem. So let's first do it here on this edge here. Perhaps that is enough when we do it here. And here you can also bring some of this paint to the hair in this step. Even if I don't know exactly until now what will happen with her hairstyle. It's no mistake when we have some structure and some black things here, some layering here on this, in this stadium here. And you can also do it like this with your finger and bring it over it here. When you think, okay, that's too much, spray a little bit of water. And when it don't flows enough for you, and it gets not light enough, then take a paper towel and do it like this and bring some of the paint away. Like this. Oh, I think I like that. So let's try to do it here also. And as you can see, I use really much water, but that's no problem. As I said, this gesso makes it really sturdy, and you can spray. And yeah, when you are unsure, of course, you can take your heat gun, as I did, and heat it up in the meantime, while, yeah, perhaps you are thinking, okay, that's too wet, then simply use your heat gun and dry it. Okay, I think we will do it all around here, so that we have this really cool frame all around the doll and all around the whole cover. Sometimes I have to try that with, yeah, small pieces of the thing and like little steps where I come to my result that I want to have, or where I think that could be a good idea or a nice result. Okay, perhaps like this. And I like to have more color, or so I try to do it like this. I have to like more color. So I like to have more color, so I want to say, sorry, in the edges of this cover thing, and that it blends out in this direction and in this direction, so that you have this, yeah, something like a book edge, or for example, an imagination of this corner protectors or something like that, but not such clear and such visible, because it's not a corner protector, of course, it's only paint. But yeah, when you blend it out in this direction, then it looks a little bit more dimensional, and I like those edges on this, yeah, in this darker color. And I realize that I can't talk when I do such things, so please excuse my weird English. But it's really strange when you turn on the camera and you try to do such things, and you have only one chance because you only have this one piece. You can't record the video twice because it would never be the same like the first. Then yeah, it's a little bit tricky. Hopefully you can understand that. I guess in this step, so when you bring the layers to the cover itself, you can also, of course, use some stencils or some other mixed media tools that you would normally use, for example, for an art journal page or something like that. And of course, you could also use inks or some other sprays or something like that for this step. But I like to use what I have on hand, and yeah, I have this black acrylic paint here, and why shouldn't I use it? So that's my intention. Also to have, yeah, the chance for those people who don't have the special inks and special sprays and special brand stuff, that they can also follow this tutorial. So if you have really special things and special colors, special ink sprays or something like that, of course you can use it. But yeah, as I said, I wanted to leave it really easy and simple so that everyone can follow this, even with the most simple supplies. With the next step, so I cleaned my brush in the meantime, I would like to add this lighter gray color. As I said, it has a really matte finish in the end, so I really like that. It's a little bit rough, like, yeah, don't want to say wood or something like that, but it has a really cool touch in the end. And I think I don't well edit with the paintbrush, so yeah, let's just change this plan. I take my paper towel. You can also take a sponge or something like that, and then I will go over it, because I don't want to have this paintbrush strokes on my piece, and I go over it like this. And as I said a few minutes ago, I haven't let the first layer dried completely. Why? Because when I go over this with my next layer of paint, it's not important which kind of paint, as I said, then I will get paint to, yeah, the upper parts of this 3D thing, and I also can lift up some of the paint that is under it, and that gives it this really cool yeah, old and altered look. And for that you have to make sure that you don't have too much paint on this paper towel, and that you have to rub it like this, and then you can see the paint, yeah, reacts here. And yeah, I don't know how I shall explain that, but that's a really cool effect, because sometimes it gets mixed, this both colors, but sometimes you have only the gray, sometimes you have only the black, and when you do it like this, that, yeah, it's an effect I have never seen before. But that may be the reason that yeah, I don't know this effect, so I don't want to say that I developed this, but I think it's really cool. And I just realized that this is here not such sturdy as I wanted, but I think when this is dry, that will be no problem anymore. So let me just do it here, then I will show you that in detail what happened here. So now it looks like this, and as you can see, you have this cool structure there. It looks a little bit like a camouflage now, but yeah, with more layers, of course, you will get more of this effect. And as you can see, in this area there's this gray already, and here not, and perhaps you can see the difference. Here it's black and white, only black and white, and here we have this, yeah, much more interesting effect. Hopefully you can see that. So yeah, I try my best to show that in my camera, and I will do this all around this dress now, and try to get also the areas they are too wide for me, that I didn't realize before that they are covered up with this step. And I can tell you, you will need many of these paper towels here, I know that's not such a good thing, but when the paper towel is once touched with the color, you can't get this effect. So you need it dry. So please don't take a baby wipe or something like that. This is a little bit wet, I think, when you buy it. So in this little plastic packages. But take a dry paper towel. When it's wet, you will get too much color off from it. And I think, yeah, I tried that out with the other piece. When it's too wet, it's not such good. So of course, when you have too much color and you don't like it, then you can take a wet piece to get it off. That's no problem. But to get this effect, the thing here has to be really dry. And I turn it around so that I have the areas where no paint was before, and then I use that to do this. Yeah, and there is a little space where I can't reach it with this thing, so I do it with my fingers. Go over it a little bit, also here. And of course, the flatter your dress is, the easier it would be to make this, of course. But yeah, I wanted it a little bit more like, yeah, dimensional and a little bit drama in this thing here. So I have the harder job to do it. So let's just attach some of this here too. I think especially on this arm thing here from the dress, that looks really cool when you do it like this. Okay, perhaps we can add a little bit of black here. I think that's better. Okay. So through my camera it looks really weird, but hopefully you can see there's different colors of the layers here that show through this whole thing. Yeah. And now I will dry it again. So I will use my heat tool again and dry it. And I also do it not such in the way that it is completely dry, but as in the step before, the color is a little bit wet, because when we add the next layer we will do it in the same way like we did this gray one. And now I think we can start with the red. And I just sorry, I only wanted to shake it. I just think I would like to try something that I never did before. And I want to spray this, even if I said in the beginning that I am not the friend of the sprays, because they spray such, such white, and sometimes it's too much. But I think in these areas here where the arms are and in these little spaces, and especially here, perhaps we can spray it into these holes and then it comes out back. Perhaps. And before I spray onto my piece, I always take a paper towel and go away from my piece and spray 1 or 2 times, so that I make sure that this little hole here is not closed from the paint. So these are really cool. So I never had problems with them. That's a really strange thing, because all the people say these acrylic sprays are such hard to handle, because this gets sticky from the paint, and then the hole that is here is closed and you can't spray and you have to bring this up. I never had problems with these. So for the people from Germany or Netherlands, Belgium or something like that, where this action store exists, Austria, no, not in Austria, but near the German-Austrian Grenze, you have this. It's really cool. I'm nervous. So let's just think about it, how this can work in one step, because I like things that work in one step. So I will spray it here. Oh, mommy. And here. And here. Okay. Let me take it like this. You have to get that into this little thing, and sometimes I am not able to spray in the right direction, so don't know if you know this problem, but yeah. Okay, so I think that's enough. Now, let me just fill my water bottle, so I can't speak anymore. And now, I think I will spray and then bring it in this direction first. Okay, not so bad. And then let's take it like this. And for this step you have to use really much water, as you can see, because of course it's acrylic paint and it's, yeah, you can bring it over a black color. As you can see the red. That would be not possible with every spray color that you can get, but to move it around you need of course much water, because yeah, there's acrylic paint stuff, yeah, something like liquid plastic or I don't know, and you need much water to bring it around. And where this looks something like pink, I take my paper towel and bring this pinky water away. But I think that's cool. I didn't expect that it will look like this. So yeah, shall we spray something to her boobies too? I don't know. Oh my god, I'm so nervous because I only have this one piece here, and oh my gosh, don't spray into her face. So that's another problem, because yeah, on my original piece with this vampire, there were little splatters in her face, but I made them in the really end. So yeah, I think that worked. Oh, and this thing there on the neck, that's a really cool thing. I think that looks really spooky and creepy. And it's not so easy to leave it when you have something. So this creepy thing on the neck has gone because my yeah, my spray bottle is a little bit too bright, but that's not so bad. You can also spray another time when this is dry, so that's no problem. But I think that looks not such bad. Hui. Okay, so I will try this again. Yay. I'm really surprised. Yeah, so the problem will be that we have really pinky areas here. So I have in mind now that I need some more layers, of course, to cover that up, because I hate pink. I can't live with these pink things. But let's do that later. But have this in mind that you perhaps would like to do it as well and bring this away. So I just take my Winsor Newton red acrylic paint here. So that's a little bit darker, I think, or some other kind of red. And yeah, I've tried to first take my finger and bring some of this here to the dress, where I don't have this, yeah, this this spray splashes, because when you looked at it before I did this step here with my finger, then you have this splashes here and there and there and there, and that looks really regular and yeah, perhaps not such interesting and not such eye-catching, because it looks splashed and something like weird. And of course with your finger you have a good control over that, what you are doing here. And while I'm doing this, I have another tip for you. Use a fabric for your doll that's really sturdy. So I just realized that the different layers yeah, are not such hard that it can be really sturdy. So I think when this is dry, perhaps it will be a little bit flexible. So for the end result of the journal, that would be absolutely no problem, because it's sturdy enough that you can use it for a journal, that you can write in it, and that you can handle it. That, I think, no, I'm sure, will be no problem. Absolutely not. But to handle it and to bring the paint to it, it would be really easy, so much easier when it's sturdy. So especially when you do it the first time, then it can be a really good help when it's a little bit more sturdy. So some of the Barbie clothes, of the original things that you can use, of course, are made from this, yeah, something like upholstery fabric, or sometimes you even can find some jeans fabric, and that would be a good idea to use, because that's very sturdy, and with the gesso it gets really hard. And as I said, the first thing that I used, this coat from my first Barbie doll, it was yeah, from a really sturdy fabric, so the fabric itself was sturdy, and so I had a really easy job to do that. But yeah, as you know, when you try such things, sometimes you get noticed the problems when you do it twice or more often. And I don't care about when I have very much red now here, because of course I want this thing to be really dark, gothic, vampire themed, but this whole stuff gets more and more interesting with every layer. And that is a thing that I learned, that when you do that and you do several layers, then the interesting things come out with every new layer. Yeah, that's not only with this 3D things the fact, but that's also on paper, on art journaling pages and something like that. And yeah, for all the people who came to this video through the group of Karen Campbell, hi Karen, if you watched this video, thank you very much for the possibility to share this in your group. I'm really happy and I really appreciate that you allowed me to share that. Yeah, when you know Karen's videos, you will see that she's doing the same, and that she is teaching us this layer thing in a very special way and a very helpful way, by the way. And even if you think, oh my gosh, too much red, don't care about it. do it like Karen Campbell would do it. And then you can add another layer later, and hopefully you will see that this gives the thing the most possible interest. And yeah, I first, when I started with this whole thing, junk journaling, mixed media and this stuff, then I thought, okay, it's a little bit waste of paint when you yeah, make this different layers, because you paint over it and the paint under these things isn't visible anymore in the end. But then I learned that I was really wrong with this meaning and this yeah, this thing, because yeah, it only goes in the right way when you do it like this, I think. And I have in mind that I have my glittery, yeah, something like this, copper gold paint, and that I want to add it in one of the next layers too, but I think we need some black first and then the copper. I don't like this white space there. Okay, I think I will leave it like this for the moment. And yeah, you have to know when you watch this, I'm not a mixed media expert. I'm not yeah, I'm self-taught, so I brought these things that I do here to my skills. So my skills, I brought them to me by myself. So, and I'm not an expert. I don't know if that is correct here, what I'm doing here. So if an mixed media expert would see this and would say, okay, what is she doing there? Perhaps that may happen. But I think, yeah, the end result is that what has the meaning, and the, yeah, when you see an end result and perhaps it's a little bit not such expert way and not such professional, who cares? So I don't care about that, because I think yeah, when the end result is that what makes you happy and what makes you satisfied, why should you do it like an expert? So why should you give your money to a craft store or something like that when you can do it like this? I'm just thinking about to give her red hair, because I think here with this little mistake I thought, yeah, that can be a good idea. Oh my gosh. So let's first add another layer of red, because okay, so the hair, I want to have shading in the areas of the hair, but now I have this red here. Normally I would do a black layer first and let this go into the structure of the hair, but I think when I let this dry, I can see that this is not matching to the rest. So I just decided to make the first layer of the hair in red, even if I would do it normally in the other way around. But yeah, let's see. And then I will spritz more water to let this go here into this whole stuff. And don't touch the face in this step. With this pencil where we want to make the eyes and the shading in the face later, that's no problem, because you can bring it away. But when you, I think when you touch the face with this red color, you can't bring it away later, and that would be a little problem, I think. So with the normal stuff that I have here, I wouldn't be able to bring it away. So I am very carefully attaching this red color here and try not touching the face. And then I take my water bottle again. So perhaps I can go a little bit like this so that you can see it better when we come to these details. Now I can't see anything, but hopefully you can see something. So when we have this water here, I turn it around a little bit like I did it before with the other parts. And when I think, I think I have to give her a little massage here on the head to bring this to the inner parts of this. Hopefully that feels good to my little Barbie friend here. Sorry, sometimes I'm a little bit weird and I have to talk with the things that are on my desk, but yeah. So a few days ago I had a discussion with my friend Laura. Hi Laura. So we talked about this thing that a journal can talk to you, and a journal tells you when it's ready, so when it's done. And we laughed a little bit about that fact that sometimes a journal doesn't speak with you. So yeah, what do you think, Barbie? I don't know. She isn't speaking with me, but I think I will give her a little wellness with my heat gun here, and then I will be back. But I have to put this here because I have not enough space to dry it. Okay, so I dried this with my heat gun, and I have to say this is really dry now. I did it in another way than with this here, because I don't want to go over it here with my paper towel like I did it with the clothing, but I want this here to be the most dimensional thing of this whole thing. That sounds weird because it's only the hair, and the dimensional thing of the clothing may be when you look at it, the most dimensional thing. But to get it to a whole thing, we have to make sure that the hair looks not like a sticker or not such flat or something like this. When you look at it from here, hopefully you can see that, then you see the hair is very flat here. In comparison here to the dress, that's much thicker here. The hair is very flat, and we want to make an illusion that this is 3D and dimensional as well. And for that, I dried this red acrylic paint with water here really well, so that I can add another layer, so that will be black, to get this shading out of the hair. You can see the first things that come out here that look dimensional when you look at these little holes that are here in the hair of this in these areas where no gesso is. I left it like it was because it's sturdy, but you have this chance that you can get the shading here in the very beginning. Also here it's much more visible, as you can see, so that this 3D thing comes out very clear. And yeah, let me just try how I can show you that. Like this, perhaps. I think that would be good. Yeah. So I have a new tripod thing, and I'm not such familiar with it until now. So the next thing is I will spray water here so that it is a little bit wet before I add the black acrylic paint. And I have a little bit of acrylic paint here on my cardstock out of the frame. I spritz it with a little bit water to get it a little bit more liquid, then I put it to my finger, and then I try to get over it very carefully. And I try to bring it, to move around with my finger by touching it like this. And as I said, if you use too much black here in this step, you can also dry it and add another layer of red in the end. So that would be no problem. If you think, okay, well, too dark, too much paint on my finger, no problem. just dry it with your heat gun or let it air dry and then add another layer of red. But I think it can also be interesting when the shading is in the wrong way. As I said in the beginning with the dress, it's not such realistic thing with this shading, but it's a shading. So yeah, hopefully you know what I mean, because of course in reality the parts that are into the hair would be darker, so there would be on a photo or something like that nothing like this, so that the white spaces are in the inner parts of the hair, or how shall I call that, but it's a mixed media piece of art, and we can do what we want so that it looks interesting in the end, hopefully. I have to check that from here. Yes, I need a little bit of water here, I think. Let me try to show you this little problem. So here on the yeah, in this area where the hair comes to the cover, there's much white, so I spray from the top here and let this flow. I can't show you that, hopefully perhaps you can see it, it flows here, and then I take my heat gun and bring the color to dry in the area of this little slot there between the hair and the cover. So that will be not such successful as I thought, because there's not enough of this paint, but we can do a little trick. If you have a paintbrush that's such small that you can come into this slot, then take the paintbrush, but you can also take this Stabilo oil pen, and I just go around here on this wet surface, and as you can see, because of the fact that this is water soluble, you will get something like this here in this slot. And then when you think, okay, that's enough, you can spritz another bit of water to let it flow a little bit, because that's a very hard frame now here, and we don't want it to have it such hard and visible. But let me just bring a little bit more color here, because when you spritz water, of course, it will go around a little bit, and sometimes it's a little bit too gray. And I'm a friend of extreme shading. Karen Campbell would say, okay, sorry, it's a little bit more drama when you have more extreme shading, and I think she's right. So let's do it like this. And unfortunately I can't show you this from this side now, because otherwise it will flow in a direction where I don't want it. Ooh, stop it like this. Okay. So sometimes you have yeah, something that you see here and you want to leave it. Now you can use your heat gun, or you can let it air dry. When you would let it air dry, this structure would be much more visible, because it stays like it is. But I like to try my hair gun, heat gun to dry this and bring some of the paint a little bit more to the head. So let's try that. So I like this cloudy effect in the background. So the first the first thing was not bad as well. Of course, you can add more layers here and you will get this structure back, but I think, yeah, until now I like it more like it is now. And yeah, then let's try to bring some more of this thing here to the hair. And when this is not completely dry, you can also add it and then take your finger and go a little bit over it, and then it smears around a little bit. And the good thing of this black pen here is that it is really dark, so I like that, because yeah, you can get more dimension, because when you, of course, when you mix this acrylic paint with water, then it will become something like gray. And when you want to bring some of this hair fibers out here, then it's good when you have something darker than you had before. And for that, I go over it here. And of course, it can happen that you do this and that you think, okay, I need another layer of acrylic paint, and you bring it to it. Then of course you can do that, and you can do this step in the end again to bring this hair out. So that would be no problem. Let it dry and go over it again when you don't like it like you have it. And also when you have such little white spaces like I have here, you can cover them up. So if you missed that in the steps before, you can cover them up with this pen here very easily. And perhaps you think, okay, the hair is moving around. Perhaps you can see this, that it moves a little bit. That's only the cover that is going up and down, because my surface here is not such sturdy. So don't be afraid to go over it here with this black pen, because yeah, nothing will happen. You can rub it and that will be no problem. And I can also recommend to turn this around while you are doing it, because you can see that you have something really not nice looking white here, and that you can also only see when you turn this around. So it's a little bit hard to film that with my camera, but yeah, I think you know what I'm doing here. Can imagine that this can be helpful, because yeah, the different angles will let you see different things that you can do and that you can make better. And when you have it only flat on your table, then you wouldn't see that. Okay, so I think we need a little bit of black acrylic paint here on top, because that's too white for me. I think this this gesso thing is a good thing, but it should be covered up, especially in the areas of the hair, because otherwise it looks really weird. So I have black acrylic paint on my finger now with very much water. I go over it here and mix it with the Stabilo color from before. Something like this. So it's not so easy to get this color into this slots, only on the area where it touches the cover. So yeah, a little bit tricky thing. Okay, so I think that's not too bad. Yeah, I like this, yeah, this shading here from the red to the black. So that's, I think, a cool thing. I will leave it like it is. But perhaps here, can add a little bit more black. And then let's just add the missing shadows here around the dress, because we have our pen here. And of course, when you use this with water, the tip of the pen will get a little bit wet. So when you later on go to the face and you paint the face, please make sure that the pen has dried really, really well. So otherwise, you wouldn't be able to add the details of the face. And sometimes it looks dry, but it isn't. So let it dry really, really well, please, because otherwise you would have no success with the face, and especially the eyes. For that, the pen has to be completely dry, and it has to be really well sharpened. But that would be no problem. It's a really cool pen and very flexible in its use. You can have many possibilities with this, so that's, yeah, I love this thing. Okay. Yeah, let's leave it like this for the moment. Let's also do it on the other side as well, around here. And if you think, okay, the pen looks a little bit weird and destroyed when it is wet, don't care about that. So that's a really good quality. So when you take this original Stabilo oil pen, that's such an incredible quality that you won't have any problems yeah, with drying it and using it again when it once was wet. It's absolutely no problem. I did such many things with it and I had never any problems, so that's really cool. And you, as you can see, you can let it flow around and bring it there where you want it. And it, yeah, when you don't use too much water, it's not so fast than other mediums, I think. So this flowing is not so fast, so that you can control it a little bit better on your piece. Yeah, what do you think? Looks a little bit strange. I will add some black here, because the other side of the hair is very dark and very shaded already. So let's do it here as well. Okay, and I think we can also now, when we are here, bring some shading to the to this area here, because our pen is wet, and then we can add it here where we would add it when we would paint a face or something like that, or a woman on a paper. We would also add a shading here. I do it like this, and also I would like to go into this little slot here. That's not so easy, but it's also not so important to do it very carefully, because when you spritz water in a second, then you will see that it's no problem. So to make a really cool shading, even if I think this thing there on the neck looks really cool as well, I will spritz some water and let it flow. Such a hard job to record that and to show you that in my camera. I really have to concentrate, because I can't see anything now, only through my camera. I don't know what I'm doing here, but yeah, I think that's okay. And as you can see, that became a little bit light here under the chin, but I will leave it like it is and let it dry and wait, because also in the face and in the areas of this whole face thing, the layers are very important, as I found out in the meantime. If you try to get this in one step, the first thing it will be impossible to do that, because yeah, that's impossible. The paint will go where it wants, and if you would like to do it with this water effect, because you have these little slots where you can't come in with your pen, then you have to use water, and then of course it can happen that too much of the paint goes away, but you can correct that later. You can let this dry like it is now, and I will let this air dry, because I like this structure here that I have here on this, yeah, on the top of this. And when I like the structure, I let it air dry. When I think, okay, I can move it around a little bit with my heat gun, then I heat gun it. And yeah, so do that in several layers, as well as we did it with the other things here. So especially the dress and such stuff. And as you can see, I have already a little bit of gray here on my face, on the face of the doll. And now when this is wet, I go around here very carefully, so not such rough as I did before. And I go around this oval from the complete head to get the first layer into the face. And here it's a little bit too light for me, so I add a little bit more of this black here, because I will spritz water in a second, and then it can flow to the left side here of the face and can flow over the hair, and then it will be a little bit darker there. And now I'm in a stadium where I have to let my oil pen dry, because I have to shape it, but that's no problem. I can get a little bit of this here. So yeah, from the bottom it looks really weird. It looks like this, but when I spritz water, it will become yeah, the first layer of my shading. So especially in the areas of the hair and where the hair is touching the face, we need a shading that the face will not be too flat. And yeah, I do that very carefully as well, and I spritz water, as you can see, and then I wait a little bit and look, how touch it a little bit. And what I'm doing here, I do that several times. So when this dries, it will become very light. So it will not stay such dark as you can see it here. And so you can do several layers of this to bring a little bit more interest and shading and such stuff to the face. I also touched the eyes with black stuff here on my finger, because a little trick, then you have a really much easier job in the end to color the eyes. The color will come here to the original areas where the eye of the original Barbie doll was. And when it dries there, then you can see where you have to paint the eyes. Hopefully you can see that now. You have the eyelids and there's little black things there. And then you can see later on where you have to put the eyes. So with this white gesso on it, it's not so easy to see. I do the same here around the mouth. And when you think, okay, why is she covering up her white face? I found out, of course, in this vampire theme and things, most of the vampires have very white faces. But in this whole thing, it looks really weird when the face is completely white, when you leave it completely white. Even if you have spaces on your cover that are white, for my feeling, the face comes out too much when you leave it completely white. And so I do it like this. Yeah, and I think I'm happy with this until now. And now I will let it dry, completely air dry it, and then I will be back. So when this is completely dry, we can do the next step on and go to the face and the eyes and that stuff. Even if I know that my dress is not completely done until now, I go to the face now because yeah, I have a really something like a weird imagination how this will be in the end, and also what I will put here. But I don't have any imagination about the face now, and I don't know how the face will look in the end. And I think this is a good point to go to the face now, because then yeah, this piece can look to you and you can better see what happens here around. And even if you would like to do something here on the outer edges and something like that, or you would like to do some splatters or something like that, that shouldn't come to the face, then you can put something over it, some kind of paper scrap or something like that to protect it and to do the things around. So let's go to the face. In the meantime, my Stabilo All pen has completely dried as well. That's very important when you want to paint on the face, that this tip is really dry. And as you can see, I sharpened it and I made it really, really, really thin on the top. I used this one here, this little knife here, to get it really sharp. And when I paint the face and especially the eyes, and I notice that this will get a little bit shorter and flat, I will sharpen it again and make sure that this is really, really thin on the top. I also grabbed my blender tools and this little Q-tips here. And what I also want to have here, sorry, is my little water spray bottle, because when I paint something to the face and I don't like it, or some mistakes happen, that I can spray a little bit of water or take my Q-tip and rub it away and begin from new. So that's a really cool thing when you have, for example, drawn two different eyes and you don't like it, then you can easily correct it by rubbing it off and making it new. Oh, Louisa, concentration, sorry. So now I have to handle how to paint this and look on my piece at the same time, because it's not so easy. I can't see anything. So let me do it like this a little bit. Hopefully then you can see it better and I can see something as well. So yeah, let's start. The first thing I will do is I will make a little, can you see anything? Yes, I hope so. A little line here where the original eye was. So in this little, yeah, area here, where normally you would put some, how is that called, mascara or something like that. I will do the same on the other side. Sorry, I have to turn this around a little bit. I can't see anything because the camera is in the way, where I have to look at this piece. And as you can see, I do that very carefully, and I also do it with very much pressure. So yeah, not too much, but a little bit of pressure, so that I can get a bit more of this material from the pen to my piece, so that I have an easier job to blend it later. And here, in the area that goes to the nose, I make it a little bit more so that I can blend it in this direction. And also here I put a little bit more to make something like this eyeshadow thing or something like that. Looks a little bit weird at the moment, but please give me a second. Something like this and like this. And then it looks like this. And we can take the blender tool, and yeah, you have to check out which kind of which thickness of blender tool is the most comfortable for you, because yeah, the tip is very small, and I think you can handle it with nearly any of these things here, but yeah, for some areas it can be helpful when it's a little bit thinner or thicker. So please try that out with the tools that you have at hand. And when you notice, okay, I can't blend it as I want it, like it is here, that belongs to the stuff that is under it. I can't blend it like I want it now. So I take a Q-tip and my little water spray bottle. I make that here out of camera, that I don't spritz to my piece. And I give it only a little bit of water and touch this here a little bit. I know that's a bit tricky, but yeah, believe me, that will work. Then I will take my blender and try to get it there where I want it. That was a little bit too less of water, so I take a little bit more. And as I said, don't be afraid about this, because you can easily remove everything. So this whole thing can be removed with water. So I will blend it here to the outside and also a little bit in the direction of the nose. And also in this little space here, how can you see that? Like this, between the eye and the nose. So that it gets a little bit, yeah, kind of shading here, and that it gets a little bit darker. And when you perhaps recognize that your blender tool soaked the water and your blender tool is getting wet, then please take another one. In the most cases, when you buy those things, you will get them in such sets where several of them are in. And yeah, you can easily choose another one. So in this area, I take off a little bit of the color that we had added before, because here on this area I want to be a little bit more light. Also, we can do that on the other side, and as you can see, you can remove it very easily so that you get nearly the original color under it. So this white of the gesso, or yeah, whatever you have under it. So let's just do it on the other side. And of course, perhaps you have a Barbie doll as base that has not this clear frame around the eyes. So sometimes there's only a straight surface here, and only this little hole, or yeah, how would you call that? And it don't has this eyelid here. And when it don't has that, or especially when it don't has eyelashes, then of course you can change the eyes in a way like you want them, and you don't have to follow the original shape of the eyes. But in this case, this goes really deep inside the head, and it has a really clear shape. So I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but here in this area and also above here, there's a little line, and I have to follow this here because otherwise it would look really strange and not nice. But when there's only a little eye area, I don't know how to call that, with a little hole or something like that, then you don't have to follow this. I think I can show you that with the mermaid piece that I will do in the next video, because I think when I have this in my right area of my brain, I think that is a little bit different, so that we can change the eyes like we want them. So now I go with this pen here around the rest of the eye, like this. And that's really tricky because now I see it upside down. You can't see that, but I don't know how to film that. Perhaps there are some people who can tell me how to do that without going crazy. And hopefully my voice is not too loud. Perhaps I have to edit that later, because I'm really near on my phone with my head now. Hopefully that will be okay for you. And I also try to blend these lines here so that they get really, really smooth, and I get a little shadow here to the nose. The nose shadow is the most trickiest part, I think. And you need a bit of patience until you have your thing there where you want it. And I haven't used any new water here now, as you could see, because some of the water obviously went into my blending tool, and now, yeah, it has a good feeling to blend this here. Now this little white space, I think I can't get it away, don't know why. Okay. Let me show you that from a little lower distance, perhaps that will work. Yes. So now it looks like this. Really weird, a little bit spooky. And I think, yeah, the eyes are not exactly the same, but I think I can live with that, because in reality that would be the same, because nobody has two exactly the same eyes. And I also, yeah, I like those mixed media artists who do that on their pieces too, that not everything is like in a mirror on both sides. And yeah, I think that looks more interesting. And on the top of the eyes here, I go over it again to get it a little bit darker, because when I blend this oil pen, then it gets a little bit lighter, of course, because it gets, yeah, something like a gray or something like that. And to get more dimension to this whole thing, I go over it here again. So now the inner part of the eyes. When I do it like this, I have a shadow. Hopefully you can see anything. So I try to get a circle here. Like this. Oh my god, that's so small. And like this. And then I color it from here to the middle. And as you can see, I am adding this light point here to the eyes, even if I would add some acrylic paint later there, but it's only for my imagination of the eyes. That will be yeah, little help, even if I cover that up with acrylic paint later, so that I have this light point with a white acrylic paint. Then it gets out a little bit more, you can see it better, but for this I have an imagination where the light points are, and I have an imagination if the eyes are like I want them. And as you can see, she has no pupils, so I did that because this is such tiny and such a small thing, so that I think when you would add another color for the yeah, for this outside part of the eye, and then this pupil, or is it called iris, or how do you call that, if you would add that, yeah, I think it would be a very hard job. That's the first thing. And I think it's not worth the work, because you cannot see that in such a detail on such a tiny doll. So for me it's okay when it is like this. And I also go over it here with my blender tool, so you can make sure when you have something like a scribbling or something like that, that you can bring that away like this, so that the eyes are really dark. And yeah, when I shall be honest, I'm not such happy with it now, but hopefully that will change when we go to the mouth and the nose. So for the nose, I grab my pencil here again, and I make 2 of these little tiny black dots there, only to give the imagination that here is the nose, and I blend it to the outsides here, and also a little bit down to the mouth. Okay, something like this. And then let's try to color the mouth. And for the mouth, I know where the lips are here. And I know this Barbie doll has very small lips. She is, yeah, she has silicone everywhere, but not in the lips. And for that, I go a little bit with my black pen over this original line, and I make the shape of the upper lip like I like it, and like I can handle it, and not in the original way, but you won't see that later, so that will be completely invisible, I think. So on the last piece it was invisible. And what you have to think about is that when your Barbie has an open mouth, so she has yeah, something like this, that her teeth coming through, then you have to leave it. You can't make a closed mouth, closed lips when you when she hasn't it in the original Barbie look, because that will always be visible. It's the same thing as with the eyes, but in a much more extreme way. So please go with the original shape of the mouth. Otherwise, you will get something really, really weird. I tried that with the last piece on my first vampire journal. Disaster. I can tell you, that was a really big disaster. I had to remove the mouth several times because I wanted it not like it turned out then in the end. So I was happy how it turned in the end, turned out in the end, but the first few tries were really, really weird. And then I decided that I want to leave this original teeth here. And yeah, it's something like a meditation, but you don't get relaxed when you do this. I don't know why. And the more color you bring into the mouth, I think the more vampire-y it will look. Now, the trickiest part will come, because I wanted to add 2 little, yeah, something like dots or something like that on the left and the right side of the teeth, so that you have the imagination of this vampire mouth, even if you don't have any, yeah, kind of things showing out of your mouth. For that, I put a little bit of water to the tip of my pen. Then, oh, I can't see that. Sorry. do it like this. And like this. Oh, sorry, I have to lift it up. Yeah. It's a little bit tricky to get that in this hole between the things here, and now I have a problem. Okay. Now you can decide if you want to live with it or not. Yeah, don't know. Now I have a little thing there in the middle that I don't like. But yeah, let's try it. A little bit more color here in the edges perhaps. That can help. So. It looks a little bit too whimsical for me, but yeah, can be a style too. What do you think? So let's just try to leave it like it is and do a little bit more shading here on top, because I think this needs a little bit more. And that's also a thing I like to do when I'm not sure if I am satisfied with that, what I did before. Then I go to another part of my piece and try to work that out a little bit more, so that I can perhaps see what I have to do with this problem I'm thinking about. And when I do this, I like to take a clear Q-tip, so yeah, that I don't have any color from before on it, on the original thing, on the first thing, so that I can make sure that I can blend it without having additional color on it. Because then I can control it a little bit better than when I would have more color here on it. And sometimes you see, okay, I took away too much. That's no problem. Paint it again. And try it again to blend it, because sometimes when the Q-tip is too wet or too dry, when it's too dry, then nothing will happen with the color, and when it's too wet, you will take too much of it away. And yeah, you have to try that out, please. So let's give her a little bit of something like a creepy face here. A little bit more drama, like Karen Campbell would say. And sorry about this noise. That's my oven. I'm hanging with my left arm on my oven because I can't film it without going crazy here because I can't see anything because my phone is over this piece. Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit too much there, I think. So let's try to get this a little bit away. And that's really tricky because when you know from different tutorials or something like that, especially from the Karen Campbell tutorials, where the shading has to be on a flat painting on a piece of paper or other medium, then it's so hard to do that because of course you have some paint from before here on your thing, and that whole stuff doesn't react like you would have it on a flat paper. That's a really struggling thing. To get something like a vampire but a realistic face look, so that's really strange. But of course all those tutorials can help a lot. So I think what I learned with the tutorials of Karen Campbell, if I haven't learned that, if I wouldn't know her, I couldn't do this. So that is really a fact, that she gave me many tips, and many of the stuff I'm doing is inspired by her. So especially the faces and that stuff, yeah, I can't ignore that and I don't want to ignore it. So yeah, I think she would say, okay, this year it's not in the way I would have planned it, so perhaps I should do it on the other side as well. But yeah, for this creepy look, I think we leave it like it is. Karen, what do you think? So I know one time I said it would be a dream if Karen Campbell would watch my videos, and then one day she wrote me that she watched one of my videos, and I was so happy, I can't tell you. Perhaps it will happen again with this thing, and I will be really happy when that would be the fact. Yeah. Perhaps I should give her a name now so that I can talk to her. So small. Too small for me. Yeah, so another thing that we have to do is we have to color this here a little bit darker as well. This area here, because the chin would make a shadow to the headings here, neck. Or is this front side of this neck also neck? Or is it only the back side? I don't know. Sorry about my English. I don't know why this is such crazy. Okay, so I think I will let it dry like it is now for the first step. Even if I'm not so happy with those eyes, and also with this part here. It's a little bit too less, I think. I don't know if you see that in my camera, but I can see the original lip of the Barbie here too much. So I think we have to do it a little bit more like this. It's only, yeah, a tiny bit. And you can also try, when you have a really small blending tool, you can also try to get this shadow between this lip and the chin. But in this case, yeah, let's try it. In this case, it's really, really small, this little slot there. Yeah, I have to, sorry, I'm back in a second. So I just searched for a smaller blender tool where I can get in here. And then you can take a little bit of the color from the lip and bring it into this slot. So I don't know if you can see that here's the chin and the slot is exactly here where this blending tool is now. I don't know if my camera can show that. And I don't put color to my blender tool or take my pencil, because I want only the shadow here and not a line or something like that. And yeah, for that I try to get the color here shaded from the lip down to this little slot. If I would take my Stabilo All pen and bring this here, that would be too much. So yeah, that would look really unrealistic and really strange. So it shall look a little bit strange, but yeah, not such strange that you have a really visible line there. And it's, as I said, really, really, really light, as you perhaps can see. I think we can do it a little bit more. But yeah, do that really carefully, because when you try to correct that with water, then you will have to correct the whole lips, because it's not possible to get only this little thing there out. And I also go over the lips with this tool a little bit to get them smoothed out, only a little bit. I think you can't see that, but in reality that makes a really big difference. When there's not such a hard line as we would probably draw, but when it's shaded out a little bit. So you can also correct little mistakes with this technique. When you go over it and I make little circles like this, or little strokes like this, to get it out only a little bit. And when your blender tool is dry, nothing will happen. So it will not smear too much. Yeah. Okay. Now she has a face. Looks a little bit like a bunny. What do you think? Yeah, so while we had some fish for meal, I said to my hubby, it's such a crazy thing to reproduce this vampire stuff. Because, yeah, of course, I did this original piece not with the intention or with knowing that I have to do a second one. And yeah, I never expected that so many people want a tutorial, and now I have this little dilemma that I have to, yeah, try to show you how I made the first one. But of course, it's impossible to reproduce it and to make a copy of it. So that may be the reason why I am a little bit not satisfied with this thing until now, because I have my first piece in mind that I, yeah, brought to the post office when I was satisfied, and I brought it to my customer. Yeah, so let's leave the face like it is now. I think I want to add some more shading above the eyes later, but I don't know until now. Let's finish the coat and this whole stuff. I just have to catch up something. I'm back in a second. Okay, so I just brought my Maya Gold colors here back. So this is the smoker one, so I think that's the darkest that I have. No, let me think. This is gray, even if it looks like silver. Let's take that both. And I think we use this copper one, and I would like to add some gold, I think. So this is old gold, as you can read here. And it's not this typical gold, but I think that can look really cool. And what I also have, in the meantime, I grabbed my StazOn, hopefully I spell that right, ink pad and this blender tool here, because yeah, I have this new, I don't know if that will work, what I'm thinking about, but I think that will stick on any surface. So they say you can yeah, stamp with that on any surface, so should be possible here. And it is a really dark color, so that I hopefully can add some finishing things here on top with this blender tool and the ink. Because until now it's a little bit too light for my personal preference, but let's change that. And if you use this Maya Gold things, shake them very well, or use something to mix it very well. You can also take a Q-tip without this thing here, so I just removed it. And then, yeah, let's mix it up a little bit, because with the time, when you use it not such often, then yeah, it gets a little bit strange in its structure or something like that, so that you have to mix it and get everything to be one. And then I think I will put it to my finger again. And I don't know if I said that already. This thing here is a cool thing because it dries in a really sturdy and hard way. I think I said that at the beginning of the video, hopefully, so that you get a really cool surface. So of course, the thicker you would add it, the sturdier it will be in the end. And I only go over these areas where my finger can reach the material, so that I leave my layers under it like they are, and I only touch this yeah, the things that come out the most from this yeah, how shall I call that? You know what I mean. And with this paint you could also do this paper towel trick. You could put it, and when you think it's too much, you can remove it with your paper towel. I do it here with my finger where it's too much for me, but you can do the same technique that we did before with this color as well, of course. And now I also see, okay, here's something that's really pink or something like that. And yeah, to don't get crazy, I go over it with this, because yeah, nobody would know that we only tried to get this pink away, but everybody will think, okay, oh, that looks cool, and it was not an accident or something like that, but made with a goal. Okay, I think now the red is coming out much more than before, even if it's less red that is visible. Does that make sense? I think, hopefully. Yeah, when it comes out between the other colors, I think you look more at it, and you see it with other eyes than when it's such visible as it was before. But I think that's not that bad. Of course, you don't have to do this step. If you like your piece like this, please leave it, and if you are satisfied with it, you can also leave it with the red on top. Of course, that's, yeah, belonging to your personal preference, but for me, I think I like it more like it is now. Okay. So let's bring a little bit of this shine to the hair, but I will do it not with this gray tone, but with the, how was this called, with this mocha, that was this dark brown. So I have cleaned my finger and mixed this brown up a little bit. And I will do it only on, yeah, some spaces, not too much, because I will add this gold later here, and I only want a little bit of another layer that gives it a little bit more interest, but not too much. And by the way, on the original piece, I only used this one here on the coat, so there is not this gray thing that I added before. Don't know if that is interesting, but yeah, it was a little bit different, so don't want to have that here. But the good thing is, when you made a little mistake like I did there, you can rub this off very easily. And you only have a little bit on your finger left, then you can go over it very carefully. And when the paint is nearly dry, you can yeah, make it like this. And then you have these little glittery things on your cover later. And that's not too bad, because that fits very nicely to the rest. And of course you can't see that now, but please believe me, that looks really cool here. Okay, so now I have to let this dry before I can add my golden color here. And I made the experience that with this color it's better to let it air dry. So when you take your heat gun, that's not such a good idea, because this color, then it gets a little bit sticky or something like that. So when you let it air dry, it will be really sturdy, really no sticky, and yeah, it's much better. So yeah, I will let this air dry and then I will be back. Okay, this is dry now, so we have this old gold here. I'm not sure until now if that would look good, but yeah, let's try it carefully. What will happen when we bring it here? And I don't press that much as I pressed before, because I don't want this gold to go into the slots here of the hair, into those little spaces. I only want to touch the, yeah, the top of the hair, so the topper parts, yeah, the upper parts of the hair, to give it just a little bit of, yeah, something like another color or something like a hair color. So I don't like when this whole stuff is one in one tone. Of course you can only do that, but I think it gives it more interest when you have several colors here. And also don't forget to bring that here to the back, because it would look a little bit weird when you turn it around and there is nothing of this gold. Sorry, my camera is not in focus. Arg. Sorry. So I always have to touch my display when I want to have the focus on another point like this, and yeah, that's not so easy with only two hands. Okay, something like this. And now, when I have this gold on my hand, I think we will do some splashes when we have it here to this part, because of course, as you can see, the hair now it has a really big different color to the rest. And to bring this together a little bit, let's splash a little bit. So yeah, how can I do it here? I just take a little bit of paint here with my Q-tip. Of course you can do it with the paintbrush too, but I like to use what I have on hand, and then I spritz a little bit of water, so this paint is mixable with water as well. And I just bring it into a little bit more liquid consistency. Is that the right word? Hopefully. Sometimes these English words are similar to the Germans, and I'm not sure if these words exist. Perhaps like this. And I will only do it on this line here. So yeah, for example, how can I show you? I will spritz in this line so that I get yeah, a context between the hair here that goes over this shoulder, and yeah, that it splatters only here. On this side, the hair is behind the head mostly, so I think it could be a good idea to make yeah, something like a line like this with the splatters. So of course it belongs to your splatter skills where the splatters come. but yeah, sometimes they do what they want. But of course you can also, if you don't like it, you can also use water and take it off again, so that would be no problem. Okay, so I think that's enough. Yeah, so and I think we need some splatters in black as well, so yeah, that we can get a little bit more interest. And I'm just thinking about I use this acrylic paint, this black acrylic paint from the beginning, and also mix it up with a little bit of water. And yeah, it seems that this acrylic paint needs a little bit more patience, so it's a very cheap one, I think. So I bought it on Amazon, and I didn't know anything about acrylic paints when I purchased it, so you have to be a little bit patient. But so the quality of the paint maybe not the best, but I think the result is okay. So sometimes it reacts a little bit different than other better high quality acrylic paint would react, but I think that's okay for me. And I don't care about if I splatter to my background, because that makes it a little bit more interesting, hopefully. Oh, that's this little shit here from the Q-tip, so please take a paintbrush for this. I just realized that this is not such a good idea. Okay. So now I will let this dry again, and then I will be back. I just realized that I want to have some splatters of this black here, also here, where we had the splatters from the red before, so that it looks like it is oh my gosh, I can't speak anymore. So that it looks like it was planned and not an accident. And I don't care if I splatter to my face now. So here I have this little golden splatter, and on the first piece I did some splatters to the face as well. And yeah, I thought that would be a good idea, and I think I like it. I don't know, yeah, shall we do it like I did it in the first piece? Yes. So okay, so let's do it. Can I shade it later? I don't know. Yes, okay. Whoop, like this. That's really cool. Okay. So stop it, Louise. I will show you that in a second. So yeah, of course that's a little bit dangerous to destroy everything when the splatters don't come there where you want them, but I think this is cool. This is really cool. On the other piece I had a paintbrush that yeah, it splattered not this circles, but it splattered this lines. So when you have more acrylic paint on your paintbrush and it's a little bit thicker, then it will not make this little dots, but it will make such stripes. And with this technique I splattered over the face in this direction and this direction only a little bit, and that gave it, I think, really much interest. So okay, so now we let this really dry, and then I will be back. Okay, now this is dry. In the meantime, I decided that I want to have some single golden splatters here on the back side and also on the spine. So I tried to spritz only here and not here, as I said before, because of this angle here of the splatters. Because, yeah, when you have this whole journal in the end, perhaps you would like to have the back side fitting to the front. And for that, I think, yeah, it can be helpful to do something like this. Now, I would like to do the finishing touches with this StazOn ink. Because, yeah, I thought, so I have to say I never did that before. With the last piece, I haven't done that. But in the meantime, I watched several videos about this, yeah, this kind of techniques with, not with Barbie dolls, but with other materials. And I often saw that the people made some finishing things only a little bit on top of this with such an ink. So I take my ink pad here and take some ink with this beauty blender tool, and I only, oh yes, that makes a really big difference. I only touch it here a little bit, and please make sure to don't destroy your ink pad, that your piece is really dry, so that you don't get any color to your ink pad from your piece here, from the painting, because otherwise you would destroy your ink pad. I don't know if you can see that. Yes, I hope that you can see that. That makes a really big difference. To get only this things here touched. And this ink, it's called Timber Brown. That's a really dark brown, and yeah, I just recognized that it brings out the red of this piece a little bit more like this typical Gothic vampire red. Haven't known that before, but now I can tell you that it is the fact. Even if I think that it smells a little bit bad, so I don't like the smell of this ink, but yeah, I have to go through it when I want to have this result, I think. And yeah, that's also, I think, a solution for this problem with the hair that I recognized here. In the meantime, I thought, okay, when this was dry, it's really too much gold, and with this ink it's possible to turn it into, yeah, something like a more natural hair color, I think. Something like that. And please don't touch the face of the doll with the ink, because you couldn't remove that. You can't remove that. So when you stamp to your piece, then it will stay there forever. It's not water soluble, and you can't remove it. Okay, so I think we will leave it. I'm a little bit, oops, a little bit nervous. Yeah, I think that's nice. Okay, so what to do with the eyeshadow? Where is my pen? Here. I think I want to have a little bit more drama in the area of the eyes. Because now it looks really, it looks really whimsical and yeah, really not like I planned it. But I'm a little bit afraid because everything what I'm doing now is, yeah, something like forever. Or and the main problem for me at the moment is that I think that you can't see a really big difference in my camera. So I, of course, will put some photos of it to my Instagram feed and also to my Facebook page so that you can perhaps check that out, and the details, especially the details, that you can see it a little bit more detailed when you would like to try it by yourself. Because I think my camera can't catch this. So here it is really glossy, as you can see when I put my finger here. I don't know why, but yeah, I think you can't see it in the way I see it. Okay, now I will take a little bit white acrylic paint. Have to catch it. 1 second, please. And I take this little tiny tool here, and I take only a little bit, tiny little bit of my acrylic paint to the tip of this. And attach this light point where I think that it has to be. And now it looks really strange because these light points are really extreme. I wait a little second, and then my trick is to take a finger and press the finger to the acrylic paint. That will give it something like, yeah, a press, and I don't know why, it will become a little bit gray or something like that. So not such white as it was before. So hopefully you can see the difference. And I think it's a little bit too much. It's, oh God. I hate such things. It's yeah, too much here. So let's make it a little bit smaller by going over it with this Stabilo All pen. And the good thing is you can paint over acrylic paint as well with it. Yeah, perhaps like this. I think that's better. Yeah, that looks really strange through my camera. Oh, I'm so sorry. That looks really strange. In reality, that looks much, it's a really big difference. So also the colors here of the dress are really extreme in my camera. So in reality, that's not such extreme. Yeah, I think I will take some photos and bring them to the end of this video so that you can see that it's not such extreme. But yeah, it can also be a style when it's such extreme. Okay, so I think I would leave it like it is now, and I will look at it in a few hours, and when I see things, little tiny things that I can correct, I will do it, but the main thing is done for me now. Hopefully you could get a little bit of an imagination how I did this first vampires thing, and hopefully you had some fun here with this little tutorial, even if it is a little bit weird in some places. So yeah, if you have any questions, please leave me a comment down below in the description box of the video, and it would be very helpful when you have a question, when you put it down below this video and not in Facebook groups or something like that, or perhaps you would like to put it in both cases so that I recognize it, because I got so many comments and so many reactions to this whole stuff that it was nearly impossible to write down all the questions and try to do this yeah, in this video tutorial that I can answer to them. So if you have a question, the first thing I will recognize is when you put your question down below in the comments. Yeah, okay. I'm struggling a little bit, but let me take some photos and then we see what we can do. So hopefully that was a little bit helpful, and hopefully we will see the next time. In the next video I will color the mermaid. So of course, you know, from the first and the second video we have this little mermaid, and that will be the next thing that I would like to try to color. For the next piece I will not use acrylic paints, so that would be a little bit boring for I think for you. So I will use brush colors and try to do it with that. So I never did that before. That will be a really big challenge and experiment, but yeah, let's see. Until the next time, I wish you very much fun to do this by yourself. And if you do a piece like this, please, please, please post it on Facebook or your social media and let me know so that I can check it out. And if you would like it, yeah, to get it reposted, of course, I would like to repost it and show the others what you did. Yeah, okay, so have a nice time and have much fun with your crafting, and bye-bye.